Hola, amigos, and welcome back to Parenting 365, where calm leadership creates strong children. For over 30 years, I worked with troubled youth and their families, from juvenile custody to schools to family reunification. I learned something important. Most parents are not bad people, but bad habits, poor emotional control, and weak role modeling can quietly shape a child's future. That's why Parenting 365 exists. I have another great story to share, so let's get into this. October 1993. I was 2 months on the job, working 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 to 7 nights a week, out of class status, which meant I was basically an as-needed employee trying to prove I belonged. That night, I was assigned to Unit M and N inside Central Juvenile Hall, youth ages 15 to 18. At least, that's what the paperwork said. Back then, there was no digital fingerprinting, no live scan, and sometimes you later found out the person in custody wasn't 15 at all. There were 3 staff assigned to the building, 1 on each side and 1 in the control center. That was me. My job was simple: watch everything, provide backup, and when youth exited rooms to use the toilet, be ready. Because in juvenile hall, movement changes dynamics fast. That night I was working with 2 staff. One was a guy everybody called toxic. The other was useless. At one point, Toxic took his break, but stayed inside the unit. Another off-duty staff member came by, and the 2 started playing bones, dominoes, right there in the unit. So I stepped away from the control center and did what we were trained to do: a regular 15-minute hall check down Toxic's side. Everything looked fine. When I returned to the control center, I looked down Useless's hallway, and immediately something felt off. She wasn't in plain view. Now maybe that sounds small, but in that environment, visibility mattered. If your partner disappeared from sight, you checked. Not because you wanted conflict, because accountability was supposed to matter. So I stepped out again, started walking down her hallway, and like we were trained back then, I lightly jingled my keys while approaching, supposedly to let youth know staff was coming. Looking back, it was probably more habit than effective supervision. But halfway down the hall, a door suddenly bursts open.
Useless.
Comes storming out, screaming F-bombs.
Motherfucker, get your punk-ass motherfucker back to the control center. I don't need your motherfucker punk-ass help. Get your punk-ass motherfucker back to the control center.
I stopped immediately, turned around, and walked back. When I got there, Toxic and the other staff member looked at me and said,
"Hey, Sanchez, don't worry about it.
That's just how Useless runs her program."
And I remember standing there thinking, what do you mean, her program? Because where I came from, nobody was supposed to have their own program. There was supposed to be shared standards, shared accountability, shared responsibility. Later that shift, the senior DSO walked through the unit, like every night, clipboard in hand, sign the paperwork, move on. And I reported the incident, exactly as it happened. No exaggeration, no attitude, just facts. And his response was,
All right, Sanchez, I'll make sure you work somewhere else tomorrow night.
And that was it. No follow-up, no questions, no correction, just move the discomfort somewhere else. Years passed, life moved on, careers moved on, and honestly, I rarely thought about that night anymore. Then one day, I came across a newspaper article.
Useless.
Now a veteran probation officer, had reportedly been arrested alongside her teenage children for alleged shoplifting. According to the article, Store security accused her not only of stealing items herself, but allegedly encouraging her children to participate too. And I remember sitting quietly after reading it, not angry, not triumphant, not thinking, I knew it. Because that article did not prove anything about the night back in 1993. Those are separate events. But it did make me reflect on something deeper. Sometimes the behaviors people excuse early become larger problems later. And sometimes systems become so accustomed to saying, that's just how they are, that accountability slowly disappears. Girls, one day you're going to hear those exact words. That's just how they are. Maybe about a friend, a teacher, a boyfriend, a coworker, or even a family member. Someone lies? That's just how they are. Someone disrespects people? That's just how they are. Someone crosses boundaries? That's just how they are. And in those moments, people around you will often pressure you to do one thing. Look away, stay quiet, normalize it, just like they did that night. Here's the truth. Bad behavior rarely begins as catastrophe. Most of the time, it begins as tolerated small behavior, small violations, small excuses, small moments people decide are not worth dealing with. But character has patterns, and when standards slowly disappear, systems weaken from the inside out. Families do too. Friendships do too. Communities do too. That's why integrity matters in small moments, because small moments become habits, and habits become lives. Girls, I was young, inexperienced, 2 months on the job, but even then, something inside me knew, if something feels wrong, you don't ignore it just because everyone else does. And I want you to remember something. You do not have to become loud, angry, or self-righteous to stand on principle. Sometimes integrity simply means you noticed, you stayed honest, and you refused to pretend chaos was normal. Because one of the most dangerous sentences in the world is, that's just how they are. And one day, you'll have to decide whether you accept that sentence or challenge it. If this helped you see something in your own home, subscribe to Parenting 365. Because sometimes, it's not about doing more as a parent. It's about becoming more consistent in what you already know. Adios, amigos. Until the next time, enjoy your journey, and I have a few more parenting tips coming soon.